5%. So 5% of normal population may have a deranged finding, which will be in turn normal for that population. Okay? So plus minus 2 deviations we take as normal, and 5% deviation on top of that plus minus 2 deviation. So broadly, you can classify these laboratory tests into 4 categories: antibody deficiency, T cell defect, neutrophil disorders, and complement deficiencies. This is on the basis of your primary immunodeficiency classification. For antibody deficiency or your human immunity, basically, you will assess the levels of IgG, IgA, and IgM. Okay? Then whatever results you have, you will match those results with your age-matched controls. So why age-matched controls? Because the values are different in pediatric population and in adult population. Then what else can you do? You can do flow cytometry. In flow cytometry, you measure the different types of lymphocytes in the blood. Okay? On flow cytometry, basically flow cytometry, we assess the cell surface markers. Okay? For B cells, there are some markers like CD20, CD19. Okay? So we assess those markers on the surface of the cell, and we assess whether those cells are absent or present in the peripheral blood of that patient. Then you can have an analysis of the DNA, which can be used to confirm that particular diagnosis. Next is evaluation of T cell immunity. Then again, T cells you can evaluate through flow cytometry, uh, similar to that of the B cells. So T cells will have other markers CD3, CD4, 7, 8. And what else can you do is you can have the complete blood count, that is the CBC, and the differential to establish the total blood lymphocyte count. So in your peripheral blood, mainly the cells are T cells. So you'll roughly get an idea that those T cells are less. Okay? So reduction in T lymphocytes will cause a reduction in the total number of lymphocytes. So you get a rough idea. And then confirmation you can go on flow cytometry. Then what else can you do is you can do cell culture studies to evaluate those T cell functions. There are certain mitogens which induce, but in response to those mitogens, there is cultivation of the cells. These T cells divide and grow, they proliferate, and they produce various cytokines. And then you can measure those cytokines, which will finally tell you whether the T cell function is present or not. Next is evaluation of neutrophil function. In this, you will do the white blood cell counts with differential. So when you do the differential, you'll get to know whether the neutrophils are present, absent, low. Do the absolute neutrophil count. If there is neutropenia, you'll get to know. Then there are two more tests which assess the process named as oxidative burst. So DHR test and nitroblue tetrazolium test. These are basically for chronic granulomatous disease. Chronic granulomatous disease, it relies on the evaluation of critical function of neutrophils. They kill certain bacteria and fungi, which in turn leads to production of reactive oxygen chemicals. Okay, so this reactive oxygen is this process is called as oxidative burst, which is measured by the dye. So similarly, this oxidative burst, you can measure it by flow cytometry also. It's called as the DHR test. Then to evaluate the complement, you can do direct Coombs test and indirect Coombs test or total hemolytic complement assay. For innate immunity, again flow cytometry, number and activity of the lymphocytes such as NK cells as well as function of various cells, receptor like TLRs, you can assess by flow cytometry. Okay, so this was basically the gist of how you will go about the diagnosis of primary immunodeficiency disorders. Okay. Now next on we come to case-based discussions for HIV/AIDS. First history is 47-year-old woman presented with chief complaints of fever, anxiety, non-productive cough, dyspnea, which has progressed over 1 week. She was tested HIV positive 5 years ago, at, at which time her CD4 lymphocyte count was 583. Cidobudine was started, but she stopped taking it after 1 month and did not return to her doctor for follow-up. She had anorexia and lost weight. Physical examination may fail diaphoretic acute respiratory distress. Oral thrush was present. So oral thrush is usually present in patients of immunodeficiency. Since this patient has HIV, patient has immunodeficiency, hence oral thrush. Examination of the lung disclosed poor inspiratory effort and bidasal crackle. Her abdomen was non-tender, everything else was normal. Laboratory examination, the abnormal thing which we find here is CD4 count, HIV RNA, and induced sputum has presence of direct fluorescence, which was positive for pneumocystis carinii. The diagnosis of the patient is pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. How do we get to know that this is pneumonia? On auscultation, there were bibasilar crashes, and the patient was in acute respiratory distress. There was high fever. So that means high fever pointed out towards infection, and the pulmonary findings pointed out towards pneumonia. And when we did the induced sputum examination, there was presence of pneumocystis carinii, hence pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. Next, what questions can be asked? What is the mechanism by which pneumocystis carinii causes pneumonia? So pneumonia by pneumocystis carinii is caused in people with suppressed T lymphocyte function. Okay? Suppressed T lymphocyte function can be present in starvation, corticosteroid administration, or in HIV. Okay, that means the CD4 T lymphocyte count is reduced. Fine, pneumonia is characterized by alveolar, so you all know what pneumonia is and how the healing occurs. So how do we diagnose the infection with pneumocystis carinii? Not comprehensible. What is not comprehensible? Can you please be more specific? Abhinav. So how do we diagnose pneumocystis carinii infection? Organisms can be identified. Voice is taking. मेरी आवाज नहीं आ रही देखो. Am I audible now? Is it better? Okay, fine. So how is this infection with pneumocystis carinii diagnosed? We can diagnose these either in tissue biopsy of all the pulmonary secretions. So in tissue biopsy, we'll be able to see the organism and then we can put special stains to identify the stain. Or else we can have induced sputum bronchoalveolar lavage, which is obtained by a bronchoscope. The special stains which I mentioned are Giemsa or the silver stain. That is Gomori methanamine silver stain. In that, we can have the cyst. Or finally, a fluorescent tagged anti-pneumocystis monoclonal antibody direct fluorescence test. What is the treatment? So seriously ill patients are indicated by a gradient benefit from a systemic corticosteroid. What alternative therapies are available?
Alternative treatments include pentamidine, trimethotrexate, a dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor, and other drugs. In patients with moderate to severe pneumonia, pentamidine should be probably the first alternative. What is the likelihood of an adverse reaction to trimethoprim? Over 50%. Can relapse of pneumonia occur due to pneumocystis carinii be prevented? And how? So we can give a prophylactic low dose of trimethoprim or dapsone or aerosolized pentamidine. It will reduce the frequency or prevent the recurrences. Now, case 2. A 29-year-old woman with AIDS was admitted with fever, profuse watery diarrhea, and right upper quadrant abdominal pain for 23 days. Just a second. Her past history includes HIV infection diagnosed 3 years ago. Oral candidiasis was diagnosed last year. Physical examination. She appeared weak, emaciated, with no acute distress. There was no cervical. The general physical examination basically was normal. There were increased bowel sounds and mild diffuse abdominal tenderness, most prominent in the right upper quadrant. On her hematological findings, she had leukopenia, 2900 were her count. X-ray of the chest and abdomen was normal. Colonoscopy and EGD showed cryptosporidia on the colonic mucosa and in the area of the ampulla. AFB culture grew Mycobacterium avium complex. Okay, and she was started on clarithromycin and ethambutol. So, the significant finding was cryptosporidia, which was found on the colonic mucosa, and AFB culture showed Mycobacterium avium complex. Okay. So, what is cryptosporidia? It is a protozoan parasite. It infects intestinal tract of mammals, including humans. लाइफ साइकिल इसकी ह्यूमंस को क्या इन्फेक्ट करता है थिकवर्ल्ड oocyst which is ingested by the host. The host in turn also passes on the thickworld oocyst. How is the ingestion? Through what route does the ingestion occur? It's usually occur through fecal-oral route. Okay. So oocyst, this was in human. oocyst अब इसके वेक्टर में क्या होगा स्पोरोजोइड से प्रोफोजोइड बनेगा फिर एसेक्सुअल साइकिल होगी फिर सेक्सुअल साइकिल होगी जिसमें गेमेटोसाइट्स बनेंगे और उसके बाद फाइनली थिन वॉल्ड oocyst बनेगा थिक वॉल्ड oocyst बनेगा. So how is cryptosporidia acquired? As I told you, main route of transmission is direct fecal-oral. How does cryptosporidia cause the disease? It appears as spherical structure, जो oocyst था, arranged in rows along the microvilli of epithelial cells. They are covered by a double membrane derived from the reflection, fusion and attenuation of the microvilli and thus considered intracellular. Finally, what pathology occurs in the intestine? There might be villus atrophy, blunting, crypt hyperplasia, and lengthening. Okay. How is it treated? There is no palliative or curative treatment. Okay, the disease is self-limiting in immunocompetent patients, but AIDS में the patients are immunocompromised. So we give paromomycin or azithromycin to treat the infection and octreotide to control the diarrhea. Now this patient also had Mycobacterium avium complex. So what is MAC? MAC, these are acid-fast organisms, but they are slightly faster than TB. They usually cause pneumonia in birds, but then they can now they're found to affect the humans also. Pathogenesis of MAC. This pathogenesis it's actually very long. I'll just quickly go through it. Basically, they colonize, or when we inhale or ingest them, they colonize that mucosa, and then they can either affect the lung or the GI tract. And then finally, after they affect the GI tract, they affect the other organs. There is dissemination in the other organs also. What are the clinical manifestations of infection with MAC in persons with AIDS? There is fever, weight loss, which are the characteristics. With chronic diarrhea, abdominal pain, and signs of extrahepatic biliary obstruction, they are less common. Severe anemia can occur. How is infection with MAC diagnosed? And what specimens are useful? Diagnosis is established by recovery of the organism from a normally sterile site, but blood, bone marrow, lymph node, and liver are most common. Blood cultures for MAC are set up in specialized liquid medium with radiometric detection system. Okay? DNA probes can be used and tissue sample can be used. Is infection treatable? What medications are used? So we use antibiotics. Okay. And please remember, at least 2 drugs should be used to prevent the emergence of resistant mutants. Then we can also follow preventive therapy in high-risk patients with clarithromycin, azithromycin, or rifabutin. Now, next case. So previously we covered MAC, we covered cryptosporidia. Now next, a 26-year-old woman, known case of HIV, is admitted at 39 weeks of gestation in active labor. She was initially diagnosed as having HIV infection. Okay. Rest everything is normal. Her infant appears normal. 3,400 gram of weight. Aptar score appears normal. Baby is vigorous. Physical examination of the baby is normal. Okay. What is the likelihood that the infant acquired HIV infection from his mother? Okay. So the risk of mother to child transmission of HIV ranges from 15 to 35%. And it is again influenced by multiple factors. Important determinant being the viral load. So the presence of P24 antigenemia it's consistently associated with the transmission. Other factors associated include low maternal CD4 cell counts, advanced HIV disease, increased levels of beta microglobulin. Then there are other insignificant factors like chorioamnionitis, sexually transmitted disease, mode of delivery, duration of labor. Like episiotomy, severe lacerations can also affect because there is exposure of the infant to mother's blood. So usually cesarean section is preferred in this. How is the virus transmitted from mother to infant? There is evidence that it can be transmitted in utero, and indirect evidence suggests that substantial proportion of infants acquire the infection in the peripartum period. Okay. Then again, the infant can acquire it by breastfeeding also. Pathogenesis of the infection in the fetus. HIV infects the CD4 subset of T lymphocytes. This we all know. Infection of the helper T cell causes abnormalities of the lymphocyte function, insensation formation, and the cell death. Okay, so these CD4 lymphocytes play a key role in the immune system, including the B cell function, the suppressor T cell function, which in turn leads to T cell lymphopenia and lymphocyte dysfunction. Okay, so there are immunological defects which lead to clinical manifestation of AIDS. This is basically the pathogenesis of AIDS, which we all know. How the virus fuses with the membrane and how the RNA and DNA is produced. Okay, I'll skip this. What is the viral infection? How is the viral infection detected in the infant? PCR करवाएंगे इसको, ठीक है. Sensitivity is viral culture कराएंगे. Viral culture की sensitivity is higher. Is prevention from mother to infant possible? It is. There are randomized placebo controls in which it shows that it can be reduced to from 25.5 to 8.3% if we give an antiretroviral drug treatment regimen. Long-term consequences, all the complications related to HIV can develop. Okay? Now there are certain movies and novels on SCID, which was primary immunodeficiency. You can go through them. It might just for the curiosity. डबल बॉयर स्काई पिंक है एवरीथिंग है मूवीज ऑन HIV एड्स ये देख सकते हो ठीक है I'm sorry the lecture was supposed to be taken by somebody else. I just had to take the lecture on a very short notice because there were some network issues. So if there are doubts, then please let me know. So what all did we cover? I'll just quickly brief you again. Okay. First, we did the diagnosis of the immune disorders. All right. We broadly classified the immune disorders into antibody deficiencies, T cell defects, neutrophil disorders, and complement deficiencies. All right. So after that, we did case-based discussions of HIV. The first patient had pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. In this, we learned what pneumocystis carinii can do. How do we identify that the patient has pneumonia? Okay. The diagnosis, the treatment. Then the next patient had Mycobacterium avium complex and cryptosporidia. In this, we saw what cryptosporidia is and the life cycle. Okay. Then diagnosis and treatment again. What is MAC? Diagnosis of MAC, the pathogenesis I went on very briefly. You can read that. Then mother to child transmission we did. All right. Does anybody have any doubt? We show what? 2, 3 slides before the field discussion having flow cytometry. All right. These okay, so basically what flow cytometry does is it assesses. So the principle of flow cytometry is that it assesses the cell surface receptors or few markers present inside the cell or nuclear markers. Okay. So cell surface receptors we can classify into B cells and T cells. अलग अलग रिसेप्टर्स होते हैं ना बी सेल्स पे भी और टी सेल्स पे भी बी सेल्स पे होते हैं CD20 19 और 45 एक होता है जो कॉमन ल्यूकोसाइट एंटीजन होता है तो उससे we can get the lymphocytes to CD45 and side scatter. After we get to know that these are lymphocytes, then we can put those specific markers. Like for B cell identification, we can put CD19, 20, CD79A, and then we can see. And for T cell markers, we can put CD3, CD7, CD8, CD4. Okay, or T cell receptor gamma delta. So by that, we can get to know whether the patient has presence or absence of these cells or not. Okay, तो ये बेसिस है फ्लो साइटोमेट्री का हमें पता चल जाएगा कि कौन सा सेल प्रेजेंट है या नहीं है तो सबसे पहले क्या करेंगे whenever a patient of primary immunodeficiency comes we do the CBC that is the complete blood count and the differential count complete blood count पे हमें पता चल जाएगा कि TLC कितना है so whether there is leukopenia or not once we get to know that there is leukopenia then we can on the differential we'll get to know कि neutrophils कितने हैं lymphocytes कितने हैं monocytes कितने हैं eosinophils कितने हैं ठीक है हमें पता चल जाएगा न्यूट्रोपीनिया है लिम्फोपीनिया है कि नहीं है अगर लिम्फोपीनिया है दैट मीन्स मेजरली टी सेल्स तो कम है ठीक है क्योंकि पेरिफेरल ब्लड में टी सेल्स ही होते हैं और बी सेल्स हमें कैसे पता चल जाएगा हम फ्लो साइटोमेट्री में मार्कर्स देख लेंगे अब न्यूट्रोफिल्स में स्पेसिफिक सीजीडी जो है क्रॉनिक ग्रैनुलोमेटस डिजीज वो हम ऑक्सीडेटिव बर्स्ट से वी कैन आइडेंटिफाई दैट नाइट्रोब्लू टेट्राजोलियम टेस्ट और DHR टेस्ट बाय फ्लो साइटोमेट्री okay any other doubts no no okay all right Thank you. I'm sorry again for the last minute glitch. Thank you. ART, how many drugs to be given? ART का तो normal regimen